Okay, we're continuing with circles revision for year 8. Question 19. What is the perimeter of this semicircle here? Now remember, perimeter means the distance around the shape. So we've got a curved part and a straight line part. So I'm just going to put a full circle over this because you know you've got part of a circle. You should really just imagine that you've got a full circle over it. So you can see that you've got half a circle, like a semicircle, and we can actually see that we've got the diameter. Now, because we're asked to find the perimeter of the circle, that's the distance, around the semicircle, that's the distance around the semicircle, we know that, like I said, it's made up of two bits, the curved bit, which I'll just draw here. So my shape is made up of a curved piece, plus it's also got a straight line piece. So I'll say my shape equals curved piece plus that straight line piece. Now we can see the curved piece is half of a full circle. So this distance around here is part of the circumference of a circle. So we should really write down what formula we'll be using. Perimeter is the distance around the outside. So distance around the outside of a circle is called the circumference. So we write down the two formulas for circumference because there are two formulas, but we just have to decide which one we're going to use. So we look at our diagram, we see that we've got the diameter. So we're going to use the first formula, circumference equals pi d. And what we're going to do the full circle first. So I'll just put that down here. So I'm just going to move this other question up here. So I'm going to start with my full circle. So I say for my full circle, circumference equals pi times d. Remember we were given that d, the diameter, was 5, so I'll just write that here. So we go circumference is pi d, which is pi times d, or pi times 5. I do that on my calculator, see what pi times 5 is, and I get 15.7079. That should be enough decimal places. Now don't clear that answer from your calculator, just keep it there. So that's the full distance around the circle. What I really need to make up my shape, I need half that distance around the circle. I just need that bottom half around the circle. So I can just put here, your next step line of working should be that my half circle therefore is 15.7079. Divide that by 2. So keeping that first answer on your calculator, all you need to do is press divide by 2 on your calculator and you get 7.8539. That should be enough. So that's that distance around there for your half circle. So now we've also got, what's that shape made up of? The curved bit plus the straight line bit. Now that straight line bit is 5 centimeters. So I'm just going to write that on top of this piece here, that it's 5 centimeters. Oops, sorry about that. That it's 5 centimeters. So I'll just fix that up. So I've got that bit is 5 centimeters. So therefore my perimeter is, actually I can just write here what the straight line is. I'll just write that in first. So here I've got that my straight line is 5 meters, and my final bit of working will be that therefore the perimeter will be the addition of these two things. So the perimeter is 7.8539 plus what my perimeter is, which is 5 meters. And then you can add those together on your calculator. So we get 7.8539 plus 5, so we get 12.8539 meters. Now we need to round that. I'm just going to round it to, we'll do 2 decimal places again. So it equals, 12.8 something. So you have to decide, will this 5 stay the same, or will it change? So to decide on the second decimal place, we need to look at the third decimal place. Now the third decimal place is a 3, which is less than 5, so we keep the 5 the same in front of it. We don't round it up. So my answer for perimeter will be 12.85 meters. So that's the distance around there. Sorry, all these little d equals 5s popped up. Now we're looking at question 20. And question 20 says calculate the perimeter of this figure here. So we can see that this figure here, it's actually a quadrant and it's made up of a curved piece and 2 straight line bits. Now the curved bit is part of a circle. So what I'm going to do first, we're going to see how much of the circle we've got. So I'm going to put a full circle over here. And we can actually see that we've got, the red bit is the whole of the circumference of a circle. And the bit that we need, the curved bit that we need, is only a quarter of that curved bit of the circle. So what we should do first, we should work out the full circle, and then we're going to divide it by 4 because we've only got a quarter of it. Now before we start, we need to look at the question, and it's asking us for the perimeter of that shape. Now the perimeter is the distance around the shape. So to get the distance around the curved bit, that's actually that distance around there. That's circumference. So we have to look at our formulas. Now we've got 2 formulas for circumference of a circle. And the 2 formulas are circumference equals pi d, or circumference equals 2 pi r. Now if I put that circle back there, we need to see whether we've got the radius of the circle or the circumference of the circle. Now I can see I've got the distance from the center there to the outside, so I know that the radius of the circle is 7 centimeters. So I'm just going to move that in there so that the radius of my circle is 7 centimeters. So the formula that I want to use is the one with r in it, so we're going to use circumference equals 2 pi r. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my full circle back down here, and we're going to start. So I'm going to work out what the circumference of my full circle is first. So we go full circle, circumference equals 2 times pi times r, which is 2 times pi times 7. I'll get an answer. 2 times pi times 7 is 43.9822. That will do. Now that's the circumference of my full circle. Remembering, I only need, if we look at what that shape's made up of, it's only made up of a quarter of the circle. So I only need a quarter of that circle. So I'll just put that down here. So I've got full circle is that. Therefore, a quarter of my circle is going to be the answer that I have. That's still sitting on my calculator, so don't clear it. So we've got 43.9822, and we're going to divide it by 4 because we've only got a quarter of that curved bit. You can see it up there, it's only a quarter of it. Divide that by 4 and we get 10.9955. You don't need more decimal places than that. But we can also see really what is this shape made up of. If I move this over here, it's not the exact perfect size, but really the shape is made up of that curved bit, which is there, and the 2 straight line bits. So I'll just leave them up there. So I now need to work out what my straight line bits are. So I'm just going to write them in there, and we can see that they're both 7 centimeters. So my straight line bits are 7 plus 7. So I'm just going to write that out now. So my straight lines, I'll just put that down here. So the straight lines are 7 plus 7, or you can do 7 times 2. So there's 7 plus 7, which is 14 centimeters. So they're my straight line bits. So now I've worked out all the pieces that I need. I'll just put those straight line bits back up the top where they were as well, so that you can see what the shape was made up of. So it was made up of the curved bit plus the straight line bits. I've worked them both out there. So my last step now is to work out the perimeter. And so the perimeter will be my curved bit, which is 10.9955. Don't need the rest of those decimal places, plus my 14 centimeters. And so my perimeter, add 14 on to your answer on the calculator. Never clear what's on your calculator because it'll just stay there. Just makes it easier for your next step if you don't clear it. So we've got 24.9955. Now we need the answer to 2 decimal places. Now this one's a little bit tricky to round. If we want the answer to 2 decimal places, we need to look at the 3rd decimal place, which is a 5. Now because this 5, if the 3rd decimal place is 5 or more, you need to round the 9 up. So what you really need to round it up is the 9's got to round up to a 10. But if you look at what you've got there, you've got 24.99. If this rounds up to a 0, this other 9's going to round up to a 0. So just think, if you were counting and you were up to 24.99, your next number is 25. but because both these 9s had to be rounded up to 10s, you'll end up with zeros on the end. So you get 25.00, and the units will be centimetres, because remember, we're working out the distance around the shape. Well, I just want that distance plus those two straight lines. It's just a distance, it's not area. And so the perimeter of the shape is 25.00 centimetres. And I think we'll end this video here, and the next video will start from question 21.